Hey there, it's Christina here, and today we are going to be talking about one of the most common issues that stops people from losing weight, but also causes that dreaded belly fat, and just affects our overall health and energy levels as well, and that is stress. So I decided that it was a really important topic for us to start talking about because what I've realized after talking to hundreds of people is that most people underestimate how stressed out you actually are. But not only that, it's hard to see the connection between stress and not being able to lose weight or feeling tired or, other health issues. And so I think it's easy to underestimate whether or not stress is actually impacting you. And it truly does have a huge impact on your health and how you feel and your ability to lose weight. So it's an important topic for us to dive into. So what I want to do today is we'll talk a little bit about just the different ways that stress will impact you and affect you. And then I also want to share my own personal stress management routine with you. And then just a few other ideas and thoughts about managing stress. And then we'll continue this conversation over the next couple of weeks as well. So just to highlight the importance of this, I wanted to share a story with you of a woman that I worked with, Sarah, years ago. And we had been working together for weeks. I want to say it was like a month or 2 months. And she had made all these changes to how she was eating. She cut out sugar, she cut out gluten, she stopped eating out multiple times a week. Like she was really overhauling her diet and she was being pretty consistent with it. But her weight would not budge. It just would not go down, even a pound. And so we realized we need to tackle this from a different angle. And so we started looking at stress and sleep. And what we started to do was just to work with how she was looking at different stressful situations in her life, because it really was consuming her mind and not allowing her to sleep at night. And so she was her stress levels were just high. And so we worked for a couple weeks on helping her reframe that stress and just, implementing some simple stress management strategies. And wouldn't you know it, but within, I want to say it was a week and a half, those scales started to budge. And I see this, this is not an isolated situation, but I see it often that when people get their stress levels under check, it is so much easier to lose weight, especially belly fat, but it's also just improves their overall health as well. So it's a really important topic, and whether or not you really think you're stressed out, I highly encourage you to listen to this whole video because I'm pretty sure it will apply to you in some way. So I'm curious, just let me know in the comments, do you feel like stress is impacting your health or your weight or anything else right now? Just let me know whether you're watching live or in the replay. I'd love to hear whether or not you think stress is impacting you. And if so, how is it affecting you? Okay, so let's start off just by looking at and talking about stress. We need to rethink how we define stress because I think for most of us, we feel like we are stressed out and that's an indicator of stress. So those times where it just feels like everything is overwhelming or just feels like too much and you feel stressed out and on edge. And maybe it's because of, big situations like the loss of a job or a really serious health diagnosis or, other traumatic events like that. And those are definitely stressful situations, but they're more acute stressors. So those are the times where something stressful is happening and our stress level rises, but ideally that will go back to normal, within, a short amount of time. And so I think what a lot of people feel like is they don't think they're stressed out if they're not feeling stressed out. But here's the problem. Even little everyday stressors over time will add up because your body does not know the difference between a major stressor and something like an argument with your spouse or getting an email with some bad news or having a deadline coming up and you're working hard to get to it. Your body can't tell the difference between the big stressors and all those little things that happen on a day-to-day basis. all of those little situations activate your stress response. So your body goes in this fight or flight response. And that happens to most of us every single day. I mean, I know for me, it happens often. And so we have these chronic levels of stress from all these little things that are happening day in and day out. And what happens then is that our cortisol, which is our stress hormone, that cortisol level will become elevated, and that causes all kinds of issues within our body. So we want cortisol to be within a specific range. It has really important functions. Like we want our cortisol to be high in the morning because that's what gets us out of bed. It gives us energy. And then throughout the day, our cortisol levels will decline as we get closer to bed so that we can fall asleep and get a good night's rest. But there are so many reasons why our cortisol might become higher than it's supposed to, or maybe it just stays high. It doesn't ever get low. And it causes so many issues. So let's talk about just a few of the different issues that happen when our cortisol is high. And I'm sorry if my light, the sun is like setting right now, and so my lighting is not the best. Okay, one thing that's really interesting that happens when your cortisol level is high is that it will actually impact your blood sugar levels. So high cortisol levels can actually spike your blood sugar, which means that your insulin levels are higher. And here's the problem. It's almost like, I like to imagine it like your body has a little switch where your body's either in a switch, like maybe on, where you can lose weight and burn fat, or the switch is off where your body will be in a mode to store fat. When insulin levels are high, your body will be in that fat storage mode, and it won't be in a position where you can easily lose weight. And also, you know, that high cortisol and high insulin, it really does promote that belly fat. And so we really want to make sure we're managing that cortisol if you're needing to, work on the belly fat area. Okay, other issues with cortisol is that another interesting fact is that it actually causes muscle loss over time. So if we are chronically stressed, have chronic high levels of cortisol, that will affect your muscles, which I'm sure you've heard impacts your ability to lose weight. It affects your metabolism and just overall health as we age. But also, high levels of cortisol will interfere with your thyroid. And so your thyroid is a really important organ that will manage energy levels. It manages your metabolism. It, is part of the process of hormones. And so we want our thyroid to be optimally functioning. Another really interesting thing that happens when our cortisol is high and we're stressed out, that will actually deplete your levels of progesterone. And so what that means is that if your progesterone is low, that's one of our sex hormones, then estrogen tends to become dominant. And I'm sure several of you have heard, but as we age, we tend to just naturally have less progesterone. And as we get to perimenopause and menopause, having too much estrogen can cause, a variety of health issues. It makes menopause symptoms worse. And it does just make us look a little more fluffy. It's harder to get toned and to lose that extra fat on our body. And then also, another issue with having these low levels of stress and having cortisol that's too high is that it will impact your sleep pretty significantly. So, studies have shown that people who are stressed and aren't getting enough sleep, it actually increases your ghrelin, which is your hunger hormone. Plus, if you're not sleeping well, you're not having that time where your body can rest and repair and heal, and repair those dead cells and all of those things that it needs to do while we're sleeping. And so if we're not getting good sleep, that is most definitely going to affect your ability to lose weight as well. And then also, a lot of people know that when we're stressed out, so many people realize that they are stress eaters. So if you are stressed out and eating more often, you're probably also choosing foods that are not healthy, like the crunchy, the salty, the chocolate, all of those things that we tend to go for in times of stress. And so, those are just several of the ways that it impacts weight loss, but it also affects things like high cortisol can impact your cholesterol levels. It can lead or make worse things like dementia. It impacts digestion, and so you might have worse digestive issues, gas and bloating and IBS symptoms. It can affect your reproductive organs and your fertility. Your immune system gets suppressed. So there are just so many different ways that your health, your weight, your energy is impacted by stress. And so it is just something that we can't ignore. If you are wanting to lose weight and to improve your health, finding a way to manage stress really needs to be a part of that. And so what I have found is that there are lots of different ways that we can manage our stress. And truly, just like with health and dieting and foods, there's not a one-size-fits-all approach. So what I've seen is that the strategies that work best for you to manage your stress will be a little different from another person based on what is the underlying root cause of the stress in your body, what is your personality like. I mean, there's so many different things that can affect that. So I just wanted to share a few thoughts on ways we can manage our stress. And before I do that, I would be curious to know, after I just went through all those different reasons why we should manage our stress and how it impacts our health, I'd be curious to know, what is your main motivation for wanting to better manage stress? Like, how will it make your life better? So let me know that in the comments. And then I will move on and start talking about some ways to manage stress. So the first thing that I think is really important is that what I have seen over and over is that how stress affects us and how high our level of stress is truly dependent on the way you are thinking about those stressors, your attitudes towards them, and just kind of your underlying beliefs. So for example, if you just have this overall belief in life that things will work out, if you're kind of a glass half full kind of person, stress doesn't tend to affect you in the same way. Or maybe do you tend to give people the benefit of the doubt and assume the best in people? Or do you assume the worst in other people or yourself? Do you feel like you have the skills and the ability to figure things out when things are going wrong? I mean, all of those thoughts and attitudes will shape how much stress affects you and how much it raises your level of stress in your body. And so what I have seen to be so powerful is that when I'm working with clients, one of my key coaching tools is helping people reframe how they are thinking about situations. It is so powerful because it can shift you from feeling stressed out and worried and anxious to feeling more calm. I think about one woman who I was talking to about a situation where she was just feeling really hurt and frustrated by some things with some friends. And so we talked about it and just reframed the situation to look at it from a different perspective. And she was able to have a little bit more compassion for that person, that friend, and realize that they weren't intentionally doing these things to hurt her, but there were some other things going on for that friend. And so, that's just one example of how when we look at a situation a different way, we can feel less stress about it and just more calm and peace. Okay. So that's number one, is really working on our thoughts, the way we think about different situations and the stressors in our life. But number two, to manage stress, this might not seem like the first thing you would assume, but truly eating clean, cutting out sugar, cutting out processed foods, having a moderate amount of caffeine, that will do wonders for your levels of stress. It is amazing to me in my 21-day clean eating reset where I help people cut out all the sugar, cut out all the processed food for 3 weeks. At the end of that, so many people tell me that they feel like they're less stressed. And it's not because the external situations change. They're still in their stressful job, or they still have all their busy commitments and things going on in life. But because their blood sugar is more balanced, because they've gotten rid of all those triggers and they're nourishing their body well, they feel like they can handle the stressors better. So truly, I see this time and time again, when we're eating well and fueling our body well, you will feel more capable with dealing with those tough situations. Okay, number three, the third thing I wanted to share then, is just all the other traditional stress management techniques that you've probably heard of before. So things like journaling or meditating, doing yoga, walking, exercise, going outside in nature, all of those things are amazing. And what I would say is that we need to implement a proactive stress management routine. So not something that we do when we're at our wits' ends and feeling stressed out, but something that we can do every day to manage all those low-level stressors that you are facing. You know, I can guarantee almost everyone is facing low-level stressors every single day. And so we need to be proactive with that. And so I will be talking a lot more about this over the next couple of weeks, but I just wanted to share what I do on a regular basis that I feel like really helps manage my stress consistently. And so the first thing, obviously eating clean. I really, really limit my sugar, alcohol, caffeine, all of those things to just help keep my blood sugar balanced. So I think that's the foundation. But then number 2, I have just a really nice morning routine. It doesn't always take that long, but I'll usually start my day with doing some stretching. I have a little journal where I write down some gratitude and kind of my plan for the day. For me, having a plan and knowing what I'm doing helps me feel more calm and grounded. So that works for me. I also, as needed, will journal. I'm not a huge journaler every day, but when times are more difficult, I love doing morning pages where I'll get up in the morning and just free write for like 3 pages minimum and just get everything out of my brain. That is a really powerful strategy first thing in the morning because your mind is active from everything your brain has been processing overnight. And so just getting it all out onto paper first thing in the morning is really, really helpful. So I love doing that. And then also I do things like I visit either a chiropractor or acupuncture regularly because I want my physiological nervous system to be in a good state so that it's in the more calm state and not the fight or flight response. And so I feel like that's an important part of my own stress management routine. And then there's things like I love is the weather has been nice here lately, so I will go outside as much as possible. And yesterday I worked outside in the sun for a while. It was also super windy, and I think allergies are bothering me, which is why my throat is a little hoarse today. But it's totally worth it. I love getting outside, being in the sun. And then lastly, what truly I feel like has been the biggest game changer for me over the last 8 or 9 months has been doing breath work. It has allowed me to be way more in touch with the things that are causing me stress or anxiety or overwhelm. And it has just been an amazing way to process that and just feel more calm and peace throughout my day. So I will definitely be sharing more about that with you. Some of you might have seen that I recently became certified as a breathwork facilitator. I'm super excited to start sharing breathwork with you because it truly has been amazing. So I'll talk more about that later, but that's just kind of a little summary of just the different ways that I manage stress on a regular basis. And again, it can just be little things that you do. It doesn't have to be an hour-long thing, but just a few minutes here and there throughout your day. So I'd love to hear, and my challenge to you, action step here, is to let me know what is one stress management strategy technique that you will put into place consistently. So let me know in the comments, whether it's live or the replay, what you will be trying. And also, just know, just to recap, we really do need to take stress seriously because it will impact your weight loss, but also your health now and in the future. And so we need to make sure that we are supporting healthy levels of stress in our bodies, supporting a healthy range of cholesterol. We don't want it to go away, we need it, but we want it to be running the way that it was meant to be. So if you are interested in learning more about how I could help you reduce stress or just manage it better, whether it's to lose weight or just improve your overall health, please feel free to reach out. You can apply for a complimentary consultation with me at ChristinaJohnsonWellness.com/apply. And we'll just chat a little bit about what's going on for you, how it's impacting your life, and just brainstorm different ways that I might be able to help you better manage your stress so that you feel more peace and grounded. All right, if you have any questions or comments, put them in the comments below. I'll check back and monitor that. And I will see you again next week. Bye.